Here's a list of the supplies you need for this project.
Okay, so we're going to use these cute little cupcake holders from Meyer to make some spray foam cupcakes. You can also use just regular ones too, if you wanted to just use regular, but we're going to use these. Also some embellishments, so like these are from the Dollar Tree. I got these clay foam sprinkles from Meyer, Dollar Tree. These are just embellishments, whatever embellishments that you want to add. Also, these from the Dollar Tree. I have some red and white glitter as well. And then you want a container, just a couple containers that you can use just to mix in your piping bag. So like piping ticks, piping bags. And I usually will use some type of glass container just to make piping easier, but we'll set those aside. So, okay, all right, so we're gonna get started. The only other thing that you need is your spray foam. Spray foam, and then hold them while you're doing this. All right, so you're just gonna kind of fill them up like that. Good. You see kind of how that looks. And we're just gonna fill them up. So you got all those filled. Now I want to do a couple more. I'm going to these. One like doesn't have enough in it, then you can just maybe like add a little bit. Good. And you're done with that. So then you just want to take a crafting stick and smooth them out. So I have like these crafting sticks. I probably want to wear gloves for this. All I'm gonna do, did I tell you that I had these clay sprinkles? I didn't know if I showed this to you or not. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of smooth it out a little bit. Trying to make it smoother. It's gonna rise, so you don't have to fill it all the way to the top, but you wanna like at least see it rising out of the top. And then I think, ooh, this one got really crazy. So if it gets a little crazy, you just kind of smooth it out. There's a couple of these I'm going to add more to. No. I want to make sure they really rise up out of the cup. Just make sure they're all kind of filled to the point where they're going to rise up out of there. Okay. So then we're just gonna let those. I moved a voiceover just because there's just so much noise. Okay, so these have risen and they only take about 2 hours really to dry and rise.
if you put it right in front of a fan. So I just set it on top of a table with a fan blowing on it, and I can do the project all in one day. Sometimes I don't like to do like multi-day ones. I like to just get them all done. So I like a lot of projects going on at the same time. So I'm just checking that out just to make sure it looks pretty smooth. These are mostly going to be covered with they're going to be covered with the fake icing, the spackle. And so you really it doesn't need to be perfect. You just kind of want it. Some of them, I think I kind of overdid it with the amount of spackle that I used. So I just wanted to cut it back a little bit and then to make it a little more smooth, just to make it more realistic. All right, so that's classic caramel paint that I'm using from Apple Barrel that I got for less than $1 from Walmart. Do not buy paint from the Dollar Tree. You'll get better quality paint from Walmart. And it'll be actually cheaper. So I'm just painting the spray foam now. And I'm kind of being careful when I'm doing the edges around the cupcake cup, just so that I can make sure that I'm not getting a bunch of the paint on the cupcake cup, because I don't want to do that. If you get a little bit on there, it's not really that noticeable. Again, you can see that I'm being kind of careful around those edges, just kind of sponging it on gently, just to make sure that it's not too messy. And I'm taking a paper towel and cleaning it up a little bit as well. I like the color Classic Caramel. It's a little darker than it probably would actually be realistically, but it creates a nice contrast. So that's Fast and Final. That is the lightweight spackle that I'm using. I'm using a 16-ounce container of lightweight spackle. That one's called One Time, and that one's a lot creamier, and I probably should have used that one because Fast and Final is really thick. That one's good for like fake ice cream, but it's a little more difficult to use for fake icing, but you just have to mix it up really good. So right now I'm just using a crafting stick to just spoon it into the containers. You can tell it's really thick. And I pretty much used the whole entire container for this. So that paint is called Pink Parfait. Shake it up really good before you use it, or else it'll be too watery. It's called Pink Parfait by Apple Barrel. Also I got a big one from Walmart because I've used it for a whole bunch of projects. And then you want to just mix it really good. Right now it's like thick and doughy, and you want it to be smooth and creamy. This was not actually easy to do. I have this sped up like 4 times right now. I'm literally pausing to take breaks. Like, that's how hard it was to stir. But you want to just keep mixing it until it's nice and creamy. The paint actually helps thin it out a little bit. So if you're using the One Time lightweight spackle, you just want to be careful. Don't add too much paint because then it'll get too watery or it'll get too thin. And then when you squeeze out of the piping bag, it won't keep its form. Okay, so I have a piping bag with the tip already in that little glass container. So now I'm just using the crafting stick to add it to the bag. I like putting it in, that's a vase actually. I like putting it in a vase just because it makes it easier to get it down in there. And you can use I'm using the crafting stick to kind of stick it down in there, like push it down in there toward the tip. Okay, then you just pull it out and squeeze it all down, get all the air bubbles out. So now I'm bringing my fake cupcakes into the scene, and I'm just gonna start piping that icing on there. As you can see, it's coming out really smooth just because I spent a lot of time mixing it up so that it would be smooth. You can add as much or as little to these as you like. In fact, there were some where I didn't add quite this much to them. Some other cupcakes that I didn't. But I'm using a display. I'm making a display out of these, and so I want them to be really showy. Oh, the tablecloth that I have down that I'm working on, I got from the Dollar Tree. They had some cute Valentine's Day tablecloths. And I just like to use tablecloths to work on just because you can just scrap the whole thing when you're done. It's a cheap $1.25 tablecloth. Sometimes I also use like the curtain liners from the Dollar Tree just to protect your surfaces. So these I also made. These are different. Those aren't in those cupcake cups that I was using earlier. These are like the regular papery cupcake cups. You just have to put a stone or a pebble or one of those fish tank pebbles at the bottom before you put the spray foam in so it stays solid, so it stays down in there. So now I have those ready to add embellishments to. I'm using the clay sparkles that I got at Meijer, and I was so impressed that they had clay sparkles at Meijer. Like, they knew that people were going to be fake baking. If you use real ones, they'll potentially run. So I got that spray bottle out because I actually sprayed them a little bit. As you can see, I'm spraying them a little bit because I let them sit out too long, so the sprinkles weren't really sticking. So I just sprayed. You don't want to spray too much because then it'll kind of start to look like it's melting a little bit. Just a light spray so that I could add those sprinkles on. And then I'm adding these heart embellishments that I got from Dollar Tree. If you put the sprinkles on right after you pipe the spackle on, then you may not really need to use that spray bottle, but it does work if you need to use it. So now I'm using these picks that I got from the Dollar Tree, these cupcake picks. I'm just breaking the end off before I stick them in there because they're really long, and then just sticking them in there any kind of way to add a cute embellishment. I'm also using those little sticks to press down on the sprinkles a little bit, just to make sure that they're kind of down in the spackle. Obviously, you don't want to do it too much, just slightly, just to make sure that they don't fall off when the spackle dries. I'm just gently pressing it in a little bit. I made these are the ones that I made that I showed you earlier. I'm just decorating those a little bit different with the light pink hearts. And I also started using those foam balls as well to decorate them. Yeah, I had to spray that because it was not, so you could see how it wasn't sticking. So I'm spraying it. And then they just stick right on after you spray it. I'm just spraying it a little bit more. And then adding glitter, white glitter. Can't really see it that well, but it just gives it a little bit of a sparkle. Now I'm adding the sprinkles. Kind of sticking them down in just like I did earlier. I turned it upside down to see if the sprinkles would stay on or not. I was just testing them. Okay, so I made this stand, and you can too. All I used was a cake board, floral foam, crafting foam, and ribbon. You can get those cake boards in like packs of 3 or 5, so you can make a whole bunch of these with just a couple packs. I got that floral foam from Meijer, but you can also get it from the Dollar Tree. That red crafting foam is from Hobby Lobby. And I got that ribbon, I think, also from Hobby Lobby. So now I just hot glue, like I hot glued that onto the bottom cake board. I hot glued the foam on the crafting foam onto the floral foam. And I hot glued that ribbon on there. Now I'm just hot gluing on the cake boards to make my stand. Really simple, easy, and very inexpensive to make, and you can make a whole bunch of them for relatively little cost, because sometimes they can be a little pricey. All right, so now I have the fake cupcakes that we were working on. I dropped one. As you can see, they're very resilient. It didn't get damaged. I'm using these hearts. I think they called it scatter hearts. And I got those from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use those to further decorate the stand. So right now I'm just kind of arranging them, kind of deciding how I want it to look. There are some white ones there that I didn't include in this video. I didn't adding those. I'm sure you didn't want to see me laboring to mix that spackle again. But I'm just putting them on there to just kind of see how I want them arranged and what I want to do. I think that there's a full dozen of those maybe on there. Maybe just less than a dozen, maybe like 10 or 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think. 10 or 11. You want to kind of just rotate them so the part that you want to face the outside is facing the outside, the part that looks best. So now I'm just hot gluing and putting a ring of hot glue around the base of the cupcake cups to glue them directly onto this display. And when Valentine's Day is over, you can just wrap that loosely with saran wrap and store it in a box and pull it out the next year. Like the other stuff that you see kind of in the background, like that fake cake and ice cream, that's from like 3 years ago. All right, so now you can see I have the whole display going well, pretty much set up. I'm just going to add these heart embellishments now just to make it look prettier. You can add your own little personal touch. So first I'm just kind of setting them on there so I can see what colors I want where. And there are different size ones in there. I just used the medium size. So now I'm just hot gluing the hearts down onto the cake boards. Now you have your super cute cupcake display. Happy Valentine's Day.